You're good.
There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. Jody Humphrey here with my partners for this every single week. Zach and Kimberly Odie. What an amazing job they are. What a power couple, the best in the industry. Along with our partner, Tim O'Rourke, who's here in multiple hats that he wears. But he's here as our partner and vision instructor today. And of course, the great Mauricio Garcia, and who's the more that things go, I want you to understand that our competitive advantage, one of the competitive advantages that we have is the absolute technology tools that we have and that are being built. You know, one of our great leaders who's vice president with Corebridge was at our meeting, and he's there a lot, and he had to stop the meeting. He says, guys, you just got to understand, I've seen everything. I go to everybody's meetings. Everybody that's a competitor, that's not a competitor. I see it all. He goes, and nobody has anything close to what you guys have. That's amazing. Well, that's the tools, and he's talking about the technology tools as well as all the other things. And understand that nobody can go duplicate you. Nobody can duplicate my leadership. Nobody can duplicate my heart. But those are the things that you should bring to the table. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Tim. Let him set the plate for hearing these things. And guys, listen, be listening to what he says. It makes you better in conversations. It makes you sound like you know what you're doing. And it's better for you as an individual to know where things are headed. So after Tim, we're going to go over to Kimberly, and then we'll go from there. So thank you, Tim. You're muted.
Thanks,
There
Jody.
we go.
Appreciate that, man.
Bet.
All right, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We're rocking and rolling. You know, finishing strong in the end of the year is really the secret to all this. Let me turn off my phone so it doesn't get interrupted again. There we go. So yeah, I mean, I got a lot to talk about, but I'm going to keep it brief, just because I know I can see Mauricio there with his handsome hat on. He's all excited. Look at Kimberly. She's all excited. Jody's excited. Everybody's excited today. I'm excited. We got a lot going on in this company, but we got a lot going on I want to talk about. So I'm going to give you some talking points here today because I don't know when you can use this or how you can use this, but this is some stuff that knowing in the back of your mind when to pull it out carefully. You don't want to, you don't want to, and I mean this in the right context. You don't want to vomit this all over everybody. Sometimes this is powerful information. Sometimes the economy that we're in right now, we've really seen an extraordinary economy. I mean, what we've seen is beyond anything I could ever explain in my 43 years in this business. It's extraordinary in many, many ways. We came out of the Great Recession back in '09 with the government taking, I'm going to use this word again, extraordinary steps of lowering interest rates to a point where, they're almost at zero. So let me kind of set that stage a little bit and picture this, that having interest rates down where you could get a loan on your home below 3%. I mean that's just incredible. And what it's done is it's really frozen the real estate market. If you think about that, one of the key markets and what drives a lot of the economy is the real estate market. So when we refinanced homes for 2.7, 2.6, I even have a couple friends that have a mortgage at 2.3%. I mean, that's crazy. I myself have a house that is right around 3% mortgage. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, who wants to get rid of their 3% mortgage, right? When today, if you watch my blog, we're quoting rates at still above 6%, or right around that range. And so you got this real estate market that's kind of been tight and not a lot of inventory. And then the funny thing is, we're starting to see signs of the economy slowing, but AI continues to drive the market. And let me point out a couple things here. So if you take stocks like Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Alphabet, which is Google's parent, Amazon, they represent 30% of the S&P 500. And that's what's been driving the market. If you watch the markets on my blog every day, you know, that's what's driving the S&P 500. The top 10 AI stocks right now are really what they have the biggest influence on that index. And and then obviously Nvidia is now part of the Dow. The Dow is made up of 30 stocks, the key 30 stocks. The Dow is not the market. The market is the S&P 500. Those are 500 of the top stocks in the country. And we always look at that. A guy that I've been watching lately, his name is Michael Burry, Burry. He's the guy from The Big Short. I don't know if you remember that. The Big Short fame is kind of his claim to fame, and he's claiming that we're in a huge AI bubble where there's been excessive capex, capital expenditure by companies. And he's saying that there's been a misleading accounting practices around asset depreciation, which he compares to the AI situation that we're in today back into the late 90s when we had the dot-com kind of bubble that he compares NVIDIA to Cisco. And so he's saying that that's going to be a big thing that's percolating, that's going to bust at some point. We get these people all the time that make these claims. He could be right, he could be wrong, who knows? One thing I know for sure, there are a lot of companies out there still spending a lot of money on AI. They're investing in this infrastructure to get to this point where they're creating more and more technology. And you see it anytime you use this ChatGPT. There's Claude. I mean, there's all kinds of these bots out there that you can use, and it's getting more infused into all of our technology. We're even using it here at HCI. We're going to use it more and more in the future because it helps people, right? It helps our back office operation. We've been able to do so much more with AI, and I think it's going to grow. So I don't know. He could be right. He could be wrong. I don't know. But the point I want to make is the signs we're still seeing of the slowing economy are unemployment. So unemployment is slowly going up. ADP has released again today that 32,000 jobs were lost, and they were expecting 40,000 increase. So when you see things like this, it's just a little check of the box saying, okay, what's causing it? Well, I think there could be some impact about the tariffs, that because of the expense of the companies are running into with these tariffs, it's causing companies to freeze their hiring or maybe let a few people go. When you do this across a broad spectrum of companies, you're starting to see some impact of that. I mean, that's just my opinion. Also, you're seeing that remember the tariffs were just started to be collected on August 9th. So that's just kind of a new thing that's happened this year. So one of the things that the Trump administration is faced with right now is even if the Supreme Court rules against the Trump administration on these tariffs, they still the Trump administration still has a way to target things like specific industries. So they can go after batteries. They could go after cars. They could go after steering wheels. They could put tariffs on certain things that they can get around, even if the Supreme Court rules against them. So the big challenge I think that we're having, or whoever's in control of the government or the House, whether it be the Republicans or the Democrats, is that they don't want to raise taxes. So what are they going to do? I think tariffs are the only way that they can try to control some of the overspending, because as we both know, how are they going to control the budget? 86 to 87% of the federal government is Social Security, Defense, Medicare, Medicaid. These are locked in right now. No one's willing to tackle those expenses. And so the rest, I mean, we're not going to knock down. They're at 1.3 trillion in over in just interest right now, and so with the we're at let's see, what's the debt clock at right now? Let's see, pull it up here. At 38.4 trillion in debt. And so that 1.3 trillion is just our interest. So you put that on top of Social Security, Defense, Medicare, Medicaid, you're dealing with a big number here. And so this is going to go on and on. And fortunately, inflation is what actually pays for this. And I think, Mauricio, you and I have talked about this. You talk about this in a lot of your discussions. Inflation is going to be here to stay. The Fed is going to try to control inflation, and they're saying their target is 2%. They're going to raise it to 3%, in my opinion. I think they have to. I think the true inflation is going to come out between 3 to 4%. So that's the conversation you're going to have with people. That's where we're going with all this. And I don't think that's going to change in the future. Instead of taxes going down, the taxes are never going to go down. If anything, we're going to see local taxes go up. Taxes in some of the high tax states like New York, California, Connecticut, those kind of states, they're going to remain high. And those are the ways, we have the tools within our tool chest to help people. And that's why what we do is so important, so relevant. And if you see the backdrop of what's going on right now in the economy, that reinforces why what we do is so important right now. These huge data centers that, because of AI that they're building out there, they need energy. This is one of the things that we're going to see utilities go up. And so utilities are great opportunities, by the way, for investments because they're guaranteed through the government. They're basically, you can't lose money in utilities. And we're going to need these centers built with new power stations that I think they're going to be coming online with these mini solar and uranium, kind of units that are going to be able to supplement the power out there. But I think we're going to see more opportunities in these kind of guaranteed investments through utility companies. And so this is one of the reasons that we like these investments through the Paul Dietrich kind of systems that have the all-weather systems that you're able to diversify and really use those kind of strategies to protect people. And we have those offered through our products also, as well as various indexes that we offer. And we have, obviously some great partners through Annexus, Nationwide, North American, all these different companies that we offer. So I just want to comment on those that, the tools that we have, these are the time that we want to really learn these products and be able to address our customers' needs. So that's my talking points for today. I'll turn it back over to you, Jody or Kimberly.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to say a couple of things. One is, how many hours a week do you study to prep for this conversation and your TIM Talks? Reading.
I probably study about 10 hours a week on this.
Okay. I should have realized his 10 hours are worth about 30 of our hours because he knows where to go study. And you got a resource here. I literally think it's a recruiting tool. That literally we can go take somebody and they know they can come in here every week and learn things from somebody who's been you got to understand, Tim is a sophisticated investor. He's sophisticated in financial planning. He's been with Raymond James for his whole career before. I mean, you got a guy who knows his stuff, who's prepping and comes on here every week. So Tim, I really appreciate it. And I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You bet. Thank you. Now, I got to thinking about this, and whether you lose money in the market or make money in the market only matters if you have money to put into the market, right? And we're going to talk right now about how close you really are to making money. And the money, there is no better money making machine than what you have. And I think one day you're going to look back and realize that you had this money printing machine that you had hold of, and you overlooked it, and we're looking for everything else. It's right here. We're going to talk about that on everybody. I, that, excuse me, I was just reading a text. I outlets and build. In the spirit of that, we have a contest that started January 1 within our hierarchy. People,
Hey Jody, are you driving?
Jody, you're cutting off.
You're kind of cutting in and out. Are you driving right now?
Okay, I am while I'm driving. Because can you hear me? Is it okay? Still cutting in and out.
I'm cutting in and out, yeah. So I'll hop in and start, and then when Jody gets to a better place, I know he's driving to the office right now. When he gets to a better place with signal, then he can interrupt me. You know he will. I'm just kidding.
Thank you. You're fine. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about, right? Is measuring your business. What can we do? We had this conversation on our call yesterday. It was part of our conversation on our monthly RMD call on Monday. But I really want to inspect what we expect, right? When we're in business, today is a products and concepts call. So that's what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about running your business. When you're in business, in order to know that you're running a successful business, you look for things called KPIs, right? Those are your key performance indicators. And on our Monday RMD call, Andrea really bullet pointed it out with really we just have three, right? And the three things that we need to measure personally for our business every single month. I need to measure mine, you need to measure yours, and we need to measure our teams, right? Is recruiting, production, and cash flow. Nothing else matters, right? How many people did we add to our team this month? How much production did we personally do and did our team do? And how much income did we make? And with those three KPIs, right, those three key performance indicators, we can measure where our business is going. So I think it's really important for all of us to take that personal accountability. I know where I want our team to be. I know where you probably want your team to be, but it has to start with us. And I think for all of us, and I'm going to pull up the calculator in a minute, I think for all of us, we see the calculator and we see how easy it is to make money here, because it is. It is insanely easy to close one policy and make significant amounts of money. But sometimes we don't close one policy. We see it, we think about it, we know it's there, we know it's possible, but we don't do what's necessary to close those policies. And that's where I think we all need to take a minute, do some internal reflections and say, where can I do this? Where can I go? One of the things that Hubert always said when he was starting his business is he took the first week of every single month. Well, hey, it's the first week of December, right? And he wrote enough business to personally pay his bills. And then he took the next 3 weeks to build his team and to work with his team, because he knew on his personal pen that he had enough money to go out and pay his bills. So I want all of us to really think about that. Like, what are we doing for ourselves? What are we doing for our team? What are we doing on the whole? And with our new back office at Aristotle, we can really measure those KPIs. We've got graphs. We can see what was submitted. We can see what was issued. We can see our income. We can see it based on last month or the same month last year. We can see what our team's doing, what we're personally doing. So we really have the tools to measure our business. And I want to remind ourselves that we are running a business. It is not just a sales organization where we go out and sell some policies. And even if it is, that's still running a business. So I'm going to pull up this beautiful little income calculator because we all like it. And I want you guys to remember right now, especially in December and probably started in November, people are out looking for extra money. Right? They're out looking for part-time jobs. They're going to work at a retail store because they're hiring for Christmas. They're driving more Uber shifts, doing all of that kind of stuff. But I want you guys to remember what a powerful tool you literally have at your fingertips. So you guys have seen this possibility calculator, right? And I'll put it up here again. The possibility calculator talks about how much money can we make in this business. And we all know we can make a lot of money, but can we make a little bit of money? Because I think in order to sell 1,000 policies in your team, you got to sell one, right? And I think that needs to be our commitment to ourselves, as if we're just starting, or if we're stagnant, or if we haven't done anything in a while. Let's just start with one. And then next month we can build onto that. So looking at that, if we have a sale that's $300 a month, whether it's a term policy, a permanent policy, whatever it is, and we're talking about life insurance at this moment, a husband and a wife, 2-term policies, unless they're super young, probably going to cost about $300 a month, right? So let's just assume someone's putting away $300 a month into an insurance policy. If I go out and I'm at the very beginning contract level and I write one sale, that means I'm going to earn an extra $1,620 a month into my pocket. I don't know anybody that can't use an extra $1,600 a month. This isn't moving mountains. This isn't magical. This is literally closing one sale. So I think that my challenge to you guys is find your niche, right? Find who your target market is, who you're talking to. Yes, we want to grow our business. Yes, we want to grow our teams. That is the perfect culmination of everything, is to hire someone today, help them do their personal plan, and go out and close 3 sales so they get out of training. That's your perfect model, right? You hire one person, you've closed 4 sales for the month personally. That is very, very, very easy and duplicatable. That is the model that we do. But even if you haven't hired someone, what's your market? Who can you talk to? Jody and I were talking about this earlier today with some of the younger people. It doesn't matter to them the 4% rule, because they're not looking at distributing their assets. It matters to them how much money they can afford to set aside and what vehicle do they need to set it aside in. So in that market, right, the just out of college and probably to early 30s, we're accumulating money. How much money can you afford to set aside, and does an IUL make sense? And that needs to be what we talk about. We talk about it to our friends and our family and our team, and we're excited about that. I promise you, you can take care of that. Debbie is super passionate about living benefits. I know confidently Debbie can go out there and talk to every single person that she meets about living benefits and sell a living benefit term policy. We had a will and trust webinar on our team a week ago, right? Or 2 weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving. If that's your passion, go out and make sure people have it in place. But follow those pieces through, because the money speaks to yourself, right? The money is there. The money is possible. And we all have the ability to really change our stars. I know Jody's talking or driving, so I'll let him hop in when he wants to. But the other thing for us to think about is, and this is one of the topics that I want to talk to you guys today, when we have somebody that has lump sum money, what are their options here? And you guys can unmute and tell me. I really think we have 4 and maybe 5, but let's talk about what their options are. If I have lump sum money, that means so in my mind, we have monthly money and we have lump sum money, right? Monthly money means I'm putting it away systematically, the same amount every single month, whether it's going into life insurance or my savings account or a brokerage account or my 401k or whatever. That is monthly money, right? Lump sum money means I have a lump sum, typically an old 401k, IRA, Roth, something like that. But sometimes I got a lot of money sitting in my checking account, right? But lump sum money means this is a one-time deposit somewhere. And where do we put those one-time deposits? What are our options inside of HGI? What do we have access to?
Fixed index annuities,
Say it again.
FIAs.
Yes, fixed indexed annuities, absolutely. And in my mind, there are 2 different types of fixed indexed annuities that we could look at for that. So that's 2 of the 4 options. What are those fixed index annuity options? Not company names, but conceptually, what are they used for? What are those 2 fixed indexed annuities used for?
Deferred annuity and immediate annuity?
No, yes, for sure. But the purpose behind them is what? Why would I look for an annuity?
Income based or cash accumulation?
Yep. I'm looking for an annuity for income, or I'm looking for an annuity for cash accumulation. So those are two different options that we have for lump sum money. Cash accumulation annuity, income annuity. What are the other two options? We can all sit here in silence. I'm going to be a
Land,
teacher.
land,
You
land
can't
banking.
answer,
Okay.
Jody. You
Okay.
can't answer. I'm
I
going to
still know
keep
about
yelling
products.
over you. Say it again.
Know my products.
You do know your
No,
products.
no,
We
they
have
all know.
land bank. We have land banking.
We have land banking.
We have ACA approved health insurance. We have Medicare Advantage,
Uh, uh,
MedSup.
uh, uh. We're talking about lump sum money.
Oh, lump sum money or monthly money?
Lump sum money. So we have an income annuity. We have a cash accumulation annuity. We have land banking. And what else do we have?
The IUL.
We do have an IUL that you could lump sum upfront fund an IUL. You would still have to add systematic monthly payments to that because typically we're not going to, one time pay an IUL, but we could put some lump sum money into an IUL. So we'll say yes on that one. So there's one more.
But one other thing on the question is that it's also the only 4 places that you can roll qualified money.
Yes. So lump sum money, we've got an income annuity. We've got
But guys, what
annuity.
does Zach do for us?
Are you asking me or them?
Active money management.
Active money management. Yes, thank you. So income annuity, cash accumulation annuity, land banking, active money management, and in some cases we could put a lump sum into an IUL, but we would need to systematically contribute to that as well, right? So when you're sitting with a client and you're looking at their plan and you see how much money they have, what I do is I say, hey, these are your options. What do you like? I give them a little taste of all of those things. If they're a 30-year-old, I'm not going to recommend an income annuity. Why? Why am I not going to recommend an income annuity to a 30-year-old?
Because it doesn't need the income right now.
Because it's not retirement time. Typically, those are reserved for retirement time. So if I'm meeting with a 30-year-old and they've got lump sum money, then I know an income annuity is not for me. If they can't afford to contribute monthly and continue to do that, or it's in a qualified account, qualified means they haven't paid taxes yet, right? Like a 401k, an IRA, something like that, where they've put money in pre-tax, grows tax deferred, tax-free access out. I can't put that money into an IUL either, right? Unless I literally pay the taxes on it. And most of the time that doesn't make sense. So really a 30-year-old is going to have 3 options on qualified money, most of their lump sum options. That is an accumulation annuity, because they want to guarantee their principal and they want the participation and to track those indexes. And they want to lock in that floor every single year. And they're just worried about risk of loss. They have WFS, which is active money management. So they have someone tactically managing that money for them in the market, dealing with stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all those, the ETFs, all those fun things, right? But someone is actively doing that for them. It's not just a target date fund that's a set it and forget it. And then they have land banking. Who wants to explain land banking to me? Come on, somebody knows it.
You go in and make an investment minimum. I believe it was 55,000.
I think it's 30.
30. Okay, sorry. And then you're gonna wait between 5 for 7 years to get a return on it when they're done with the building and the whole structure they have in the land banking area.
Kinda. Let me explain it to you guys how I always explain it to clients. And Octavia, if you'll mute again, because I'm echoing on my end. Thank you. Let me explain it to you how I explain it to clients, because I think it's really important to make it sound very simple. There are technicalities, like he just said. Typically, it's actually a 7 to 10 year hold. Because think about it, you're buying land. You literally own a portion of property. When do you see a return on property that you own? Anybody can answer that question. When do you see a return on property that you own?
When it's sold.
When you sell it, right? When you sell that property. If not, you might see it on paper, but it's not an actual growth until you actually sell that piece of property. But I explain it to people when I'm introducing it to them as this company goes out and they buy land in the path of predetermined growth. They know that growth is coming to an area. Think about anywhere that you live near. And when I lived in Georgia, I used Dawsonville all the time for people that are from there. Used to 10, 15 years ago, there was an outlet mall and a bunch of cow fields, and that was it, right? Now it looks maybe bigger than downtown Alpharetta. Like it's crazy, it's insane, because that growth was coming and they knew that that growth was coming. So if you'd had the financial ability or the foresight 15 years ago to buy that land in Dawsonville, and you have the ability to hold it until that growth came and sold it at that point, that's what land banking is, right? And so basically, we're buying that land in the path of, we're not buying it, they are buying it, they're vetting it, they're making sure that it makes sense. But when I sit down with a client and I have these conversations, if it's a 30-year-old specifically, and they're not continuing to lump sum it or an IUL doesn't make sense, I'm gonna say you have three options. You have active money management, kind of your money is in the market, but you've got somebody actively managing it for you. You have land banking, and let me explain it to you. And I give them a quick 2-minute overview of what that is. Or you have an indexed account. I don't use the word annuity because, people freak out because they don't really understand what it means. And old context of annuities aren't the greatest, right? So I just say, or an indexed account. And basically the way that works is it guarantees your money against loss. You have the ability to track the upswings of the market, and every year or every crediting term, so year or 2 years, depending on what you choose, you set a new floor, right? You get your interest credit, you lock in that gain. What makes the most sense to you? What are you interested in talking more about? And then that's what I talk to them about, right? Because that's what they want. So those are just some of the thoughts that I have on the top of my head. I want you to, number one, run your business like a business, even if it's just you, even if you don't have a team, right? Set your own KPIs, set your own key performance indicators. What is okay to you? What is enough to you? What is beginning to you? And set your minimums. And make sure on a monthly basis, sit down with yourself and have a board meeting, right? And look at yourself and say, what did I do this month? If I said I'm going to close 1 sale per month, did I close 1 sale last month? We can't close 10 if we don't close 1, right? So I want you to really inspect your business. And then I want you to think about in your market, what's your flagship story? Is it living benefits? I know for Jeannie, that was Jeannie's flagship story. It was always living benefits. Even before she got sick, it was always living benefits. I know for some of the younger kids, it's IULs, right? It's explaining how that works and taking care of that. For some other client or people, it's wills and trust. What is your flagship story that you're going to talk about if you're talking about products? And then don't make the business so hard. You got lump sum money, where's it going to go? We just went over your options. You got your choices. If the choices don't make sense for your client, eliminate them and let your client choose. Jody says it all the time. What interests you the most? Real estate, stocks, or I don't know what else he says, something else. But what do you like the most? They're going to tell you what they like, right? So those are my thoughts for today, Jody.
Awesome. Fantastic. And guys, the number one question I get asked all the time is, what do I say? And today's been a masterclass of what you say. Tim went over great bullet points, and you just heard from who I think, along with her husband, is the best I've ever seen in articulating things in a way for you to duplicate. If you do not go listen over and over and over to how she said all the things she just said, then you're not listening. You just were given exactly all that you need. And with the tool you're getting ready to see with Mauricio, that just makes it that much more. But what I was saying earlier is that we're having a contest started December 1st. It is a 2-part contest. It's a building contest, okay? If you have 10 personal recruits in a month, you get a $500 cash toward Top Gun. It'll be given to you there. If you have a base shop that does 10 recruits, this is for more of the MD and RMD type people, you can get $250. Now, just so you'll understand, and I'm going to be sending this out in a form of the 10 personal recruits, that's pretty straightforward. But the other is that in other words, if Caesar, it's going to be AV, just like the Leaders Bulletin. In other words, if Caesar is an RMD, but he has Mauricio, who is an MD, and Mauricio gets 10 recruits, Caesar gets to count 5 of them toward his 10 of the base shop. He's still going to go find out 5 because you can't have the same numbers count for everybody. Okay. So you could go get that personal, every one of you, and you could do both. There is a way you could go have the personal recruits and have a base shop. So go recruiting, you got to get some money. That's it. All right. So excited about that. And we got a great contest going to be announced January 1, and it will be for the San Francisco Napa Valley area. We're going to take our top leaders on Team Legacy. I'm pretty sure that's where we're headed, but that seems to be magical. People liking that idea. We'll give you details. So we'll turn it over to you, Mauricio. You're muted.
I said, what a great training today. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Tim. If you are listening, this would be good. I wanted to present something today, but at the same time to make sure that it's all in compliance. But I wanted to just say that, Tim also mentioned that they're leveraging AI in the back office to speed things up. And Jody and I, and the opportunity that Hubers provided in terms of allowing us to be able to produce the tools that is going to keep us right on the front, on the cutting edge of leveraging technology. And we don't fall into the mistakes of big companies failing to recognize the new tools they need to leverage to move forward. You think about the billions and trillions of dollars that are being invested into the AI, whether it's a bubble or not, it just means that it's going to most every company. And we need to figure out how we're going to leverage those tools. Some of these tools do not exist. Even though the technology's been there, tools still need to be created to solve the challenges that we've got. And I believe that 80 to 90% of the things that take most of your time, like what is not exponential, can actually be systematized. And I think the companies that will grow the fastest, that will really, like I made a big statement, right? In order to accomplish what A.L. Williams did in the 70s, we need to recruit 10 million people to license 1 million people if the rates of retention continue the same. Now, I think there's a lot of things we can do to quadruple retention, like getting people licensed in 5 days instead of, I'm not going to get into that. There's some amazing things coming that should help every one of our new recruits get licensed in days instead of months. It's going to revolutionize the way that people study for the licensing. But things like that should increase the retention of the agents. And so I think I say that to say that we are self-aware, right? We're aware of the new era that we're in, and that we're building the AI for the front end. Who's the front end? That is us. That is the sales force. That is the people that are out there, whether it's shoulder to shoulder, right, and across the kitchen table. A lot of people still do that, but more and more we're meeting clients virtually at their preference. And so we've got to leverage these tools to advance. And this is what I want to, starting from where Kimberly left off, which is, if you have lump sum money, what are the options we have? Well, we have a lot of options. But we also need to understand what it is expected from us from a regulatory standpoint. This is why I was... if Tim is not on, have him review this. But I want to start the conversation here. Let me just find the spot. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. This is going to tie in very nicely into Abacus, okay? But it's important that you understand when it comes to lump sum money, right? What can you do if you're like only agent, like life and health license only? So The purpose of this training, which is going to take about 5 minutes, is just to understand what you can and can't do. So you need to be aware of that National Association of Insurance Commissioners suitability in transactions, model regulations 275. This is what this is cemented on. And what is happening is that you as an agent, when you sit with the client throws a bunch of statements at you. They throw insurance policies, retirement accounts. In many cases, they ask you as an agent to give them advice. And you can't do that, right? There's this very fine line, but at the same time, the NAIC suitability in annuity transactions model regulations 275 requires you to collect financial information, including income, assets, existing investments, risk tolerance, time horizons, liquidity needs, financial experience that the client has to make that recommendation. It's right there. The producer shall make reasonable efforts to obtain the consumer's profile information, which includes existing assets, including investments. It says the producer may review documentation relating the consumer's financial situation. Now, what can we do as an agent? Review investment statements. Well, what does that look like? Does that mean you can, go research for them? No. It's basically, this is your balance. It's basically interpreting or just saying you have a 40-60. There's very, as we move forward, I'll explain exactly what review investment statement means, right? Identify liquidity needs is what you can do. Assess risk tolerance. Determine if the annuity is suitable. Run a risk profile. And explain how annuities align with the client's goals, and refer the client to a licensed investment advisor. Those are the things that you are allowed to do. Now, the things you cannot do is you cannot recommend them buying or selling securities, give advice on stocks, bonds, ETFs, or mutual funds, tell a client how to reallocate their 401k, suggest which positions to liquidate. That you can't tell them what to liquidate to buy anything. I don't care if it's land banking or annuity or insurance. You cannot tell them, go sell this to buy that. Okay, perform investment analysis, call yourself a fiduciary or act as an RIA or IRA or IAR. These activities require Series 6, 7, 65, or 66. If you engage in this and you're not 6, 7, 65, or 66, then you are in violation of SEC enforcement, FINRA, and DOI. But that's why there's this very quick snapshot of what you can do when you are collecting information, including investment statements that is required by the NAIC. You can review the statements, yes. Can you explain the annuity suitability? Yes. Can you analyze securities? No. Can you tell a client to sell funds? No. Can you consider risk profile? Yes. Can you recommend 401k reallocations? No. Right? Can you refer to a licensed advisor? Yes. That's a nice matrix. So I think in a nutshell, what Abacus is going to help you do is to be in compliant with this. So when you are collecting the information from a client, we have a pop-up. It's a disclosure pop-up. This is going to be your suitability shield. And what we're going to do in this pop-up is basically, it's something similar to this, where you say, why we need to review your investment statements. We review your investment statements only to ensure annuity suitability. We do not give investment advice. We may refer you to a licensed advisor if the tool tells us that. It's like when you go to the primary doctor, and the reality is that they need a cardiologist. He's not going to get into give him, cardiology advice or surgery. He's going to refer them, right? Because he's not a cardiologist. And he might get in trouble if he suggests to perform some, open heart surgery without a cardiologist. I'm not a doctor or anything, and I'm sure it works a little bit different. But in this thing, you will see this when you're uploading information, which you should, because it's required. And it's very easy. You just upload it. It reads the information, and it tells you how aligned it is with the risk profile. You could say, hey, listen, according to the rule of 100, 40% ought to be in alternative, not alternative, but on a hybrid type of accounts like annuities, right? Anyways, so you'll be able to click on I understand this. This is not investment advice from your client, and you can move forward. Agent script is something like, imagine you're uploading this information for insurance and annuity purposes. This is a sample sort of a script that you can use, and this is all going to be available once Tim reviews this. Also, is state regulation requires me to review your financial information, including your investment statements, to determine whether an annuity is suitable for you. I'm an insurance professional, so I cannot give investment advice. My role is simply to ensure my recommendation fits your overall financial situation. If anything requires investment guidance, I will refer you to a licensed advisor. So this not only protects you, but it also builds trust with your clients. So again, the risk profile that is inside Abacus helps you take care of all that with just taking the FNA. Okay. And these are what the Abacus is going to identify just by you loading the information. And there is give the flags or the red flag or referral flag, not red flags, but referral flags. If the client requests the advice, if they ask about reallocation, if they want any do a comparison, if they are have too much concentration in stock positions, if they need, I mean, the system will analyze that. It will just say, is it suitable to recommend to a financial professional? You're not getting into giving any investment advice for that matter. And protecting yourself, the 3 golden rules means you review statements only for suitability, never cross into analysis or advice. Always use the Abacus pop-up disclosure. This is your compliance shield, like I said, and document everything. Obviously, the fact that you have all the information in that FNA is going to be your biggest ally if you ever get a client come back and, suggest or say if this annuity was a suitable thing or not. And this matters because it will protect your license, it will protect your income, it will boost your credibility, it will protect your agency and the entire HGI ecosystem. So remember that compliance is not optional, it is a competitive advantage. And with that, all I can say is that this tool that we have right here, if you haven't gone in there, I want to invite you today to go to abacuswizard.com and just read the page. So far, we're closing into 1,000 FNAs completed. Close to 700 agents have created an account. And it will help you without you, like if you log in, you're not going to know what's all in there. But if you really want to grasp the amount of tools that you have at your disposal, all you need to do is just browse through the site, which I think we've done a pretty good job as to showing what are all the different calculations and for what reasons you may need this. If you're wealth building, we help people build wealth. We help people protect wealth. We help people optimize for retirement income and tax planning. We're not doing tax advice, but the annuity part is tax deferral, right? The life insurance in terms of income is tax-free income if you trigger it through the loan feature. We do retirement planning. I mean, these are all within the scope of insurance. And we have intelligent product matching for those that are not securities licensed and for those that are securities licensed. We have over 2,000. Anyways, I may not get into this. Maybe I will get into it a little bit because it will at least let you see under the hood a little bit. If you're like Zach or myself, I'll be pursuing my 65 starting now to do that because I think long term is just a good thing to have. But again, we want to be able to also help with that. And so if
Hey, Mauricio,
yeah.
One just clarifying, and you were just saying something a little bit about it. So it's free, even though it says that there's a trial time.
Yes, it is free. Okay, guys, it is absolutely. Thank you for that, Jody. Yeah. So we'll let that. But one of the things people do ask in many cases is in terms of security. So we've really haven't. I'm in this hoodie and not hoodie, but this hat and this. Because every waking minute, guys, every waking minute, talking 18 hour a day, just making sure that we're like at the top. If you read the level of security that we've achieved for this is the top, like what is expected from the big financial firms, SOC 2, ISO 27001. I mean, if you just go through the level of security that we have in this system, it's obviously it can always increase. Is that that's a changing world, right? Especially with AI and everything. But we're right there, right? What's required in terms of security. So if you were wondering, just go in here and take a read. That on the site. Again, that is abacuswizard.com, right here, abacuswizard.com. Just go in there. Well, if you're logged out, let me log out. You will land in this page. Got the little, you know you're there if you see the little wizard with those little abacus dots. You know you're in the right place. And going in there, right? If you had like your system memorized the password, it's still the same password, but you may need to remember it. Okay, so there's a couple things that I want to make you aware. When you're like, if you're like brand new in Abacus, we now give you a sample cases. You see these right here: Martinez family, Hamilton family, the Shen family, and the John Smith family. This demo. When you log into your Abacus now, in the upper right-hand side, you're going to see a button that allows you to download. These are demo accounts. Why did I add demo accounts? Because this way you could completely navigate the entire functionality from your dynamic calculations you can do to the one-click done analysis you can do. And what I mean by that is that if you download these, you would be able to immediately interact with the different calculators that we have that will use that data, and you can immediately start to understand how this works as you're having a conversation with the client in terms of how much insurance they need or what are the retirement gaps that they have and things like that. That is the dynamic approach, which I love, because you can change the things. You can change life expectancy, you can change ages, you can change everything, right, to change the result. Like if the default recommendation when it comes to insurance is making sure we have at least 10 years worth of income, it's giving you here duration. A strategy is 10 years. It's like it's like the baseline, but you could also recommend more. So if that client wanted to have, let's say, 15 years of their income replaced, you can do that here. So I love the dynamic piece of it because it changes the numbers in real time for all the 30 plus different calculators that we've got. And if you like the one click done in 45 seconds, I mean, I was, yesterday blown away, even though this feature has been out only for about a couple of weeks, to know that people like Robert and other agents are finding it and using it. They can see within 40 seconds, because you have the completed FNA, you can literally produce a full page report, not a one page, but a 8-step that allow you to find all of the gaps that exist in that client, all of the gaps, insurance gaps, retirement gaps. I mean, and the financial score, right? I have the data. This client has 61 out of 100. What are the things we need to focus on? Building an emergency fund, eliminating debt, closing the insurance gap, and fund education. And you can get into it. And you can just go 1 and 2 and 3. And it's all the math is there already. And if you like all the math, there's just there. It's just there for you in 40 seconds. This used to take weeks in many cases or cost a gazillion. So you could basically review this information with the client. And it would even produce an action plan, like what to do first, second, third, and step 8. Like what is the action plan summary, right? So I just say this to show you guys that when it comes to having the option of dynamically using the tool or using it with one click is very easy. The number one skill, again, and I keep saying over and over again, the number one skill is learning how to collect the information, learning the F&A journey conversation, learning how to take the F&A, and then after that, the rest is going to be a piece of cake. Because once you identify what the gaps are, then it's a lot easier to then, look for the products that are aligned to solve that problem. You'll be able to explain to the client exactly why an annuity could make sense, or why an IUL, or why a term, right? Hope that's making sense, and we don't have the time to go to a full-blown training on this, but as Hubert always says, right, the activity is what creates the knowledge. And so if you get into it and start playing with these demos, then you'll begin to understand what you're able to do once you actually input your information, and then eventually your first client's information to begin running this. I do want to also make you aware that inside of every client, and it could be any client, inside of any client's view report section, there's sales opportunities. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it. Yeah, this Martinez family looks like they have so many different opportunities. They have an AUM opportunity, meaning that if you're not securities, you can refer. They have an opportunity here for $150,000 in AUM. They have Sofia Martinez, which it seems to have a gap when it comes to retirement planning, not for education funding. They have a retirement income gap. They have a Luca, another education plan. They can actually allocate $115,000 to the annuity based on their age and the rule of 100, which is very well justified. They can maybe look into permanent insurance because they have a gap in permanent insurance. They can either, if the finances allow, they can either buy it now or buy the term and convert to perm. They have some additional need for insurance, and then they have a will and trust need. So imagine you're taking the F&A and immediately knowing what are all the opportunities and all the things you can talk to the client about. And if you want to show them the concept, you click on the calculator. The calculator will take you right to the tool that you need to show them in terms of what they need in terms of education funding. Like, what do they need in terms of the children? How big is the gap based on the no savings that they have for college, and that child's going to need $211,000 to fund their education. Things like that. So that's that. I do believe that as we continue to move forward, this will become the tool that will help you eliminate cancellations. Like if you look at maybe I guess teams that have 80-90% of persistency, they're doing it because they maybe did a full financial needs on their client. And even if they didn't stick around to do the HDI career for 10, 20 years, they're going to keep those policies for 10, 20, 30 years because they understand the value that the products bring to their family. They don't tie that IUL with the success they had in HDI. It's not like, if I leave, I cancel. There's no reasons why we should have a single cancellation when we're able to demonstrate the value that our recommendations bring to them. And now it's becoming a lot easier to be able to do that with these tools. So what will happen is your referrals are going to go up. Your overrides are going to skyrocket because you're not going to have any chargebacks from the people as they do this the right way, right? You will be able to have every documentation, how you arrive to those recommendations, and you don't have to be a 25-year veteran in the industry to do it. The only thing you really need to do is learn how to collect all the information to make a informed decision. You hear that a lot, right? Make an informed decision. How I can say I made an informed decision to the John Smith family because when I go here, I have the details. I have all the details. I have all their goals and objectives, all their accounts. I have their risk tolerances. I have their insurance. I have their incomes. I have their expenses. I have their medical. I mean, I have everything here, right? To then when I have all my lump sums and monthly monies, I have my monthly monies here, and I have my lump sum monies, and by my balances and my types of accounts. So with this data, there is a gold mine, what we'll be able to do in terms of making sure that the recommendations we're making, whether it's just a term or an IUL, is suitable, and you've got the information right here in the most secure space that you can find. And maybe if you just allow me to entertain you with the one additional thing, which is I think it's important to paint a vision of what is taking place. Let's just say a John Smith, if you see the F&A right now, there's assets. And you're going to see something new in the assets tab, which is, do you want to manually upload? You want to manually upload all the basic information for a client? You want to manually upload it, or you want to upload the statements, right? You can upload the statement from the client simply, because the clients sometimes are emailing you this stuff. And remember, NAIC requires that you collect this information to make a recommendation. Not to make a recommendation on investments, it's just to make a recommendation on why the annuity is suitable. So if you upload the information, then you will be able to maybe say, hey, looks like a conversation with Zach Odie is going to be good for you, because it looks like, you have 12 red flags on your account. I can't get into them, but that's why you have to go and talk to Zach. And so what we have in the back end, and I'm going to end with this, at least on the Abacus side, is that when you are, let me go to the client here. We were doing John Smith. We can, if you're not securities licensed, you're not going to access this. But there's one little tool that is the stress test that allows to see what type of, it's going to use this engine to sort of help you send that information to Zach. And I tell you, Zach will probably love the fact that you'll have the information he's going to need to be able to make the best recommendation, for the client. And so I hope you got, value from this. And because I don't want to jump to conclusions, I do want to take 5 more minutes, if it's okay with you, to just invite you today at 2:30 to learn how to use ZyberZeus to create your pages. I think Kathy's here. I don't know if Debbie's here, but Debbie, if you are here, I think I saw you come in earlier. I think coming from you guys, the people that are finding the value in this, could you speak to how you felt like the minute you knew that within 40 seconds you had an amazing page? And if you can share that with us for people that may not have it, and how easy it really was to build it. And I can help you if you need help in the explanation. But I'd like to hear from you and from Kathy, or from anybody that has done it.
Here, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hang on 1 second. I have too many devices. Sorry. I'm on 2 different things. So I did mine last night after I saw Debbie's, and I was just so impressed. And I literally sat down with Mauricio. He gave me some ideas on creating the prompts for the AI. I put that in and added a couple of things and hit the little submit button. And in about a minute and a half, a page popped up. There were a couple of things I had to edit, which is incredibly easy to do in ZyberZeus. And I still have some things I want to tweak, but I mean, I have a page that I could put out right now, and I've owned the domain for my name for a long time and just haven't built a page for it. So I quickly then went into ZyberZeus, took my domain, thekathycunningham.com, and connected it to the ZyberZeus page, and boom, it's ready to go.
Yep. It's ready. It's really that simple. Now, for those of you that may have not seen this, I think it's important to for you to know what we're talking about. So Debbie basically just prompted, and this is what I'm going to teach today, how to do it. So if you don't have a page that, if you're on the plane, if you are on a networking event, anywhere you may be, have a page where you can quickly just send to somebody and for them to be able to see what are the things that you may offer, what is the experience of them working with you. Those are cool things that, or cool page that you can have. And here's what's really valuable that I think most aren't getting. It's not just a page, it is connected to a full functional CRM to then be able to schedule, to follow, to do the nurturing, everything that you need to do. That's what ZyberZeus was designed to do. Is to, if you want to have a page for branding yourself, it looks pretty amazing. You don't have to pay $5,000 and then a monthly fee to maintenance. And then, you know, because that's what typically would happen is people have to pay $5,000 to have a designer. And then, you know, have to pay them $200-300 a month for maintaining it. And then, you know, have to then figure out how to drive the traffic and do it. And it's not even linked to a CRM. If it is, you have to pay a monthly fee for that CRM to do it. And it took 45 seconds for Debbie to have a very presentable site. And you could make it the vision that you want. That's my point. If you want to know how to do that, today at 2:30, we're going to show you how you can, you know, go in there and in just a few minutes walk out with this. And I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, because obviously I always say that whoever has the most like mini events or mid-sized events leading up to like a Top Gun or a convention of champions is going to win. I have been in the game, like I've done, and you can do this too if you have an innovative campaign of the month. That innovative campaign of the month could be, you know, the opportunity. It could be, you know, with everything that AI is replacing in terms of jobs, you can talk about opportunity. You can invite people to events so they can learn how to overcome the challenges that we have in the world. Well, that's financial, that's income, whatever that is. You have that ability today to create the pages. And when you have your pages, you can also create the traffic. And that's obviously with AdFlux, so what we're going to do there. But the I just want to, you know, invite you to that. And then obviously not the people that were there yesterday at the training. I know some of you are not in Alpharetta, but we have this thing called Lead Legion. I want you to start getting familiar with it, because this is going to help fill in any of the gaps you may have in terms of your calendar. Your calendar is what is announcing your income, the activity. So you do all kinds of efforts, right? You make your list, you help your new recruits make a list, and then you become an expert in the Ether method for inviting people to the opportunity. Once they join the opportunity, you then do that over and again to get the leads, to get production, internal consumption. But there's a lot of new hot markets you can generate by bringing or reaching into the cold market. And so what we are attempting to do, okay, this is like a shot to go to Mars. This has not been done before. You're not going to find anything that is out there in America that just delivers the appointment to you. Not have to do the seminar and then do the presentation, the event, but actually just scrape everything people are doing on social, have an elegant, compliant way of engaging conversation to then bring them into becoming an appointment. From all these people, right? From government entities all the way to Yelps, which is people go there for Indeed for jobs, right? Google Maps, YouTube, Zillow. There's a lot of intent. There's a lot of conversations happening in all of these different places, and we are figuring out a way to scrape them, generate the leads, and eventually those leads will become appointments. That's the process. You scrape, we could give you the lead. There's people paying a bunch of money for leads. I'm telling you, they're paying, you know, hundreds of dollars for leads. But the thing is, they still have to do all the following. And in the new era that we have, all of that follow-up all of the engagement to be in a compliant way, because we are in a regulated industry. You have to be FTC, FCC, SEC, NAIC compliant. And a bunch of other different compliance. So how do you do that effectively to just deliver the appointment? I just want you to grasp the magnitude of this. And I'm letting you into the side of the kitchen here to see on the side of we're refining the process, and we figure out even ways. We're discovering things like 3i Atlas, like things we've never seen before that are now possible. And I think that the organizations, and this is why I end with, the organizations that can close the gap of human inconsistencies are going to devour the competition. And that's what we're doing with this ecosystem of production, automation, right? And obviously education and AI. But make sure you show up the website that you built for Kathy. Oh, Kathy, you want to put a link on the chat? I want to show them the site that you did also, because I did for Debbie, and I want to show them what we did for you also. And then we can wrap it up with that. You know, if you put it on the chat, I'll just click on it to
It is
show.
there.
I
It is
did.
there.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So, okay. So it's not clickable, but I can copy it and just go over here and paste it over here. Wow. I think that's the Kathy Cunningham. So I think it was pretty impressive. Obviously, she's still going to change the photo. It looks great, but I think you could be a little further, right? But it's just being able to prompt it. I mean, how long did it take you for this page to be ready? I think you said a minute or something, And so all you're gonna do is go in there and just change the
Sorry,
photos.
yes, Mauricio, it took like, once we put the prompt in, it produced this page in about 90 seconds.
Yeah. And know this. So we're gonna monitor, and again, everything that you produce, it's got to be NAIC, SEC, FTC, all that. It's gonna make sure that every copy, every word, everything that is added onto it is more and more and more aligned with keeping you safe and keeping Tim's also, less nervous. But and with his help, we're going to get there. So, Jody, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but that is the ecosystem that we've got, and I think 3 to 6 months from now, with the new things that we'll do, it's just going to make things so much easier for us to really scale and do what's never been done before.
Mauricio.
Yes.
Sarabel here. I just want to share that last night I
Yeah.
did the first website, like my first landing page for an event that Stephanie and me are gonna do here in the office. I
Yes.
just shared you the link, and it was so amazing. It was so easy, like in 5 minutes, it was done. And I did it also because I'm planning to do this training for our office in Spanish on Friday, so they can also do it.
So cool. So cool. So you see, all you need, once you do the first one, then the rest becomes easy. And I want you guys to think about, like, you have an event. Imagine January, you have Top Gun, right? You can do it. You can do your weekly, monthly, bi-weekly campaigns. Even one of you could do one, and then you can replicate it to your team, or each one can have the theme, so that, there's this thing called market sophistication. And what I love about it is everybody can be compliant, but different. Because the context is the same, but it's a little bit different in the flavor. So you have your own sort of uniqueness brand. And so that's important, so that, because if you are targeting the same area, the same market, it could get saturated. But if you have your own sort of unique flavor, then it has more life. So I am so happy to hear that it took you 5 minutes to have a brand that, and again, I think for the brand new people, the new generations will never understand how many dozens of thousands of dollars it used to take to be able to do that. It's incredible. And I don't know how else to say it, but Jody, I'll throw it back to you, brother, to closing.
Hey,
And
great stuff. It was a great
comments
day.
also, but
Can't imagine anymore, guys. Listen, we got everything we need. Just go recruit, pile it on, get them on these calls, and go make it happen. Great job, Mauricio. Can't wait to see all of you. If you're in Atlanta, December 16th on Tuesday, we're having our holiday open house. It's going to be incredible. We got entertainment. We got all late night karaoke. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fun. So if you got anybody around here, get them to the home office. So thanks, guys. Take care. Kimberly, you got something?
I do. Mauricio, can you drop the Zyberzeus? I don't see an email from HDI about it. Can you drop the training link in the WhatsApp?
Yeah, let me do that here, guys. If you want to join me, let me drop that. It's my Zoom. Colton typically would send that around noon. So if you've checked your spam, but I'm going to drop it here for you guys.
Thank you.
Hold on, Kat. Hold on. You guys see my screen? No?
No.
I'm gonna
No,
drop
not
it.
yet.
Hold on. I just sent it
If
to
you want to
Fred.
just put it in WhatsApp, I can send it out that way.
I got it. I'll put it here and I'll give it the WhatsApp also. I have it right here, literally. Okay, so here is the chat. Here's that. Boom. Ready to go.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Great job, guys. Amazing. Super.
Bye-bye.